Good evening, everyone. The episode number 4 about the shortcut wrap up MBA-MCI Information and Alumni Connect, which is organized by the MBA-MCI Program, is about to begin. Before starting the session today, to have the better experience, could you please turn on the camera so our lecturer can interact with you better? Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the final session of our shortcut, Shaping Leaders and Driving Results. As we conclude in enriching journey, we not only celebrate our accomplishment, but also look forward to connecting beyond the classroom. Attending the session today, we would like to honor to welcome Dr. Andrea Hinz, Director of the MBA-MCI Program from Switzerland.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your welcome. And thank you very much to all of you for participating. It's very important for us to be in touch with potential students who may be taking up the MBA-MCI so that you get a glimpse of what the program is about. And of course, this being a short course series, it gives you an idea, a glimpse. But of course, we cannot sort of reproduce the exact experience you're going to have. That kind of makes sense, and I'm sure you understand that. And we think that the short courses are a great idea and a great vehicle to give you an idea of what the MBA program is about, to get to know some of our lecturers, to get to know the fantastic MCI team based at Bachar University, and to see how this is going. So it's great to see so many of you, and I understand that the idea for this session is to quickly give you a wrap up, a sort of a summary of what you have been doing so far in this short course series. And then I will take a bit of a moment to basically talk about the MCI program in general, the admission process, and I will give you some other facts and figures about the program. So if there's nothing further ado, I think I'll just get started. Again, we appreciate that this being the evening that so many of you have found the time to participate. Now, over this short course, you have basically had the opportunity to meet some highly qualified and accomplished lecturers we have in the program, and to get an idea of some of the typical topics that we are going to cover in the MBA program. And as you know, an MBA, and especially this MBA, is a commitment on your behalf. And the people who choose to do it are usually very highly accomplished individuals, people who want to progress in life, who want to make a fantastic career. And you will see that our alumni, the group of alumni, is constantly increasing. The current intake is a very big class, and I think we have 31 students or more in the current class. So the body of these highly accomplished people is, of course, growing every year, and that also makes a fantastic network for anybody who wants to, make that mark in their life. Now, the topics which I was talking about before, they are, of course, management-related topics. It's a Master of Business Administration, so that means there's a lot of management topics, but there's also a lot of leadership topics, which are equally important. And those are not necessarily the same things. I mean, if you think about the definitions, management is about using your resources. It's about getting things done. It's about making plans and defining milestones and measuring your success your team, your individuals. And leadership goes beyond that. And you have, I'm sure, learned about that in the past few sessions that you've had. Leadership really is going beyond management in that leaders basically are an example. They try to motivate people. They try to include people, which you also did in the first session here with inclusive leadership. They try to make sure that people give their best. If you think about Steve Jobs, for instance, yeah, I mean, everybody knows him. And of course, he has been a very famous individual. But one thing he was really good at, and that also defined the success of his company, was that he made sure to get out the best of the people. So he was pushing innovation. He was pushing an entrepreneurial spirit. He wanted to get each and every individual and try to get the best out of them so they contributed to the overall mission and direction and ultimately the success of the company. So in these courses, I mean, the first one, inclusive leadership, right? It's a very important topic. And it's an important topic for the reason that if people don't feel welcome, if people don't feel comfortable in their job, then they cannot really perform. They cannot really contribute that well to your team, to your organization, to the success of the company. So it's very important to make sure that you include different individuals, their skills, their potential, and sort of form it for a drive for success of the overall company. Because people are not all the same, right? Problem solving, of course, is also a very important topic or task or challenge of management, because you will always have situations that are not foreseen. It's not like you're working in a manufacturing company on a conveyor belt and you do the same thing every day. You fix like a screw on a device, and that's very predictable. That's the same all day long. But management, of course, and also leadership, and the topics that people like yourself, that people like our MBA students in the MBA-MCI encounter, these are things that change all the time. It's a dynamic world. You know, we have different customer preferences. We have new competitors entering the market. We have a global system with political challenges, etc., etc. And so business life is very dynamic, and it always needs problem solving because we are encountering challenges and problems that are changing all the time. So it's important to have very good problem solving skills and to also have the methods. And again, the short course gave you a glimpse of some of these methods and how to select the right methods, etc., etc. But of course, we cannot give you the same than we do in the whole MBA program, but it gives you an idea of what we do. And then the third session, leadership out of a box. That's also a special case where basically you looked at, you know, key learning techniques and to discuss and to overcome, for instance, the imposter syndrome and other things. And with leadership, it's very similar to the management, that you also need to somehow find solutions to problems. With management, it's about resources, it's about sort of business challenges. And with leadership, it's more with the people, right? There may be some people who take up too much space in the team. There may be people who are too shy to say something. There may be some other people who are always shouting the loudest, who think that they are always right. And of course, that's also something that leaders need to deal with, to make sure that every individual in the team, in the unit, in the organization can actually contribute to the best, with their best. So, I mean, those were only a very few points. And of course, the short courses were longer than that. And that is sort of a quick wrap up. And again, I wanted to reiterate that point, that this gives you a glimpse into what management leadership is about, what sort of skills, methods, techniques you can use, and that are also part of the MBA program, of the MBA-MCI program. But of course, it cannot be the real thing, because if you ask our students, they spend time, right? We have lectures, we have workshops, and we cannot give you the exact same experience in a short course, but we give you a rough idea of what this is about. And that's why we're doing it. And we think it's a great way to show you what the program is about. So if that's the quick summary, maybe just one point. I mean, these are just a few topics that you've seen. But of course, our MBA, the MBA-MCI, includes all the key topics of management and leadership. For example, financials, right? Financial management, financial accounting. Human resources. You have addressed that to a certain extent with the HR session at the beginning, with inclusive leadership. But of course, it goes further than that. Marketing. Then we have entrepreneurship and innovation, which I will be doing with you. So you see, there's many different topics within cultural management or cultural leadership, IT issues. So of course, this course only picked a few topics that are very important, but of course, there's also many other topics that we will be dealing with in an MBA, in the MBA-MCI, to give you the best possible preparation for your future careers. And we have people in the MBA-MCI program who are engineers, who are scientists, who are lawyers, you know, from very different backgrounds, but then they choose to do and also economics and management, and then they choose to do the MBA to get on the next level, to acquire the skills that they will need in positions of management and to become great leaders. So that's what the MBA-MCI is about. I mean, you've seen that. I don't think there's a need to talk much about that. And of course, great individuals. So you've had a very good idea of the lectures that we have. And I will say a bit more about the lectures in a minute when I continue in my presentation. So we have intakes every year, and that looks like it's going to continue. The MBA-MCI is a very thorough, very good, and a very successful cooperation between Bachelor University and between the University of Applied Sciences and Arts of Northwestern Switzerland. And it's a real privilege for all the people involved, be it in Switzerland or in Vietnam, to be part of this program, because it also signifies a great relationship between two fantastic countries that have a very bright future. And that link is also very beneficial for our graduates, because they make a network, they meet people from different countries. And so the MBA-MCI also reflects that component that looks beyond the borders of a country, but also looks at the sort of linkages and relationships between, in this case, Switzerland, or let's say Europe, and your fantastic home country of Vietnam. All right. My screen is stuck. Let's give it a moment. Maybe just a few points on our school. I mean, you know Bachelor University. It's your home city, most likely, or in your home country. So let me say a few things about our school. So our school has different campuses. We have across 3 cantons of Switzerland. We have 4 campuses, and we have about 9. We have 9 schools. We have an additional one focusing on the digitalization. So it's a university with different specializations and different schools. And of course, we are part of the School of Business. The university also ranks quite highly in Switzerland. That's, I think, one of the last rankings that were available, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a very good, especially the business school is very accomplished also because we have a very good network internationally. And of course, the MBA-MCI is one very good example for that. Now, again, we are positioned as a very, very thorough and a very high quality university with a focus on business, because we're talking about the School of Business. And we have also received the acclaimed ASCSB accreditation about 2 years ago, excuse me, two years ago. And that was a major important step to show the quality and the integrity of the work that we do with our partners. Again, internationalization is a very important topic for the School of Business, and our institute, where the MBA-MCI is sort of also administered from our side, of course, with the MBA office at Barrois University. So there's a lot of international activities, and again, MBA-MCI is one major sort of item or product in the international realm. Widely recognized, very good school. The alumni network is very good. We have people who have really made it to very, very senior and director positions and also CEO positions. And that, I think, is also true for the people, of course, who do the MBA-MCI. Now, the internationalization, that is, I mean, it's something that basically many schools claim, but in our case, it's something that we really do every day. So this is about the focus also in the lectures. So when you look at case studies, for instance, in different courses, we always make a link, or we often make a link. And that's also, of course, assisted by the fact that about half, I'm not sure about the exact number, but let's say about half of the lectures, or a bit, I'm not sure exact numbers, but you have a lot of lectures with our colleagues from Switzerland as well. So you also get that perspective in the lectures. And also, because of the alumni network and the general network of the school, we have a very international background. So it's not only the lectures, but it's also the peers, your peers in the classroom. And if you look at our students, many of them, even if they are based in one country mostly, in Vietnam, they work for often international companies. They have a lot of business relationships abroad. So that's another dimension of the international appeal and the international network of the school, and specifically of the MBA-MCI program. You also have the option, and that's additional, you have the option to also do some, to also spend some time in Switzerland. For instance, you can choose to do your master thesis in Switzerland and be supervised there. That, of course, incurs extra costs. They are not part of the program, but you have the option, if you wanted to also do your master thesis abroad. Now, Switzerland, of course, has typical products, right? And here's a few examples. And of course, there's other products and there's many other aspects of the Swiss economy, but it's very important, of course, for all these businesses, for all these industries to run successfully on a global scale, that we have people, we have individuals who are in charge, who take responsibility, and who have all the key skills and techniques that it needs to run successful businesses on a global scale. And that's another big item of the MBA program, of the MBA-MCI, that we, of course, focus on the key skills and techniques and approaches that you need as successful managers. So whether that's consulting, whether that's entrepreneurship and innovation, we give you the key insights and the key tools and techniques that help you to basically move up to the next step, take more responsibility, and run successful teams, units, and maybe entire businesses. Now, in terms of international integration in the world economy. Switzerland is also a very well linked country. And that also is to do with the policies that the government chooses, but it's also the competitiveness. Switzerland is a very innovative country, like Vietnam is, and I'll give you some numbers in a minute that maybe you know, but that some people don't. And it's quite astonishing how innovative Vietnam is amongst its peers. That's really an astonishing achievement. I'll show you some numbers in a minute. But anyway, Switzerland is very well integrated in the global economy. Of course, being at the heart of Europe, that's a big plus, because we are neighboring with key economies in Europe, Germany, Italy, France, and of course the smaller ones also Austria and Liechtenstein. So we are right in the middle of Europe, which helps. And Switzerland is very well linked also beyond Europe with, basically many countries of the world. And it's a very innovative country. I'm not sure about whether I have the numbers in the presentation later, but I want to start with Vietnam. Now, you may know the Global Innovation Index, the GII, and that's also a slide that I show in my modules. And you see, those are the global ranks in terms of innovativeness. I'm not going into the details of how it's being calculated, but here you see that over the last 10 years or so, Vietnam has sharply moved up in the global innovation ranking around the world. This is all countries. So this is all the top innovators like Japan, for instance, the United States. Everyone is in this ranking. And Vietnam has managed to basically very quickly, within 10 years, a bit more than 10 years, move up in the ranks. And that is an astonishing achievement that other countries didn't do. And remember, most countries, all countries, they try to be innovative. They try to be successful on the global market with a very few exceptions. So Vietnam is competing with very strong innovators around the world because they all want to achieve high innovativeness. And yet Vietnam has overtaken so many of these countries over the last 10 years. And that's an astonishing achievement that Vietnam has done. This ranking here is all countries, so highly developed countries, industrialized countries, and emerging markets. And I don't need to tell, Vietnam is an emerging market, and the Global Innovation Index people, they separate the participants, or they separate the countries in this ranking across different income groups. Vietnam is part of the lower middle income group. And that's simply because salaries and incomes are not as high as in other countries where the economy is sort of producing more, because Vietnam is still an emerging market and it's moving up very fast. And this is the group that Vietnam is part of. And if you look at the countries part of this group, then Vietnam is not the 44th out of, I think, 164 countries, and has moved up sharply in the last 10 years. But in this ranking, when we compare Vietnam with equal counterparts with similar income levels and a similar state of the economy, then you see this picture, Vietnam being on top. The numbers in bracket are again the global rankings, right? Vietnam moved up to the 44th from 76 or 78 to 44 in 10 years. And in this income group, Vietnam is number one. And that is an even more astonishing feat, because if you look at these countries, they are very dynamic countries as well. They all want to be innovative. They all want to be competitive. Nevertheless, Vietnam has clearly been number one. Also, when you look at older rankings, I think they don't do this every year. The last numbers I looked at, Vietnam was number one too. So here we go. Vietnam, Switzerland, both very innovative countries, and it only makes sense that these countries collaborate on different levels. And the MBA-MCI is one example for that. So yes, two innovative countries, And people, companies, governments, universities, private individuals, we can learn from each other. Because how do you innovate? You innovate by doing things better, by doing things differently, by looking at other aspects, by looking at how other people do it, by asking difficult questions, by trying to analyze a problem, by trying to find solutions. And if you do this alone, that's good, but it's even better when you do it with partners, when you do it with other people who may come from a different background because they have a different perspective. And that's also something that the MBA-MCI program manages rather well, because we have inputs from very different countries that meet in the classroom. And our students are part of that. And they take this away for them. They take this away for their own life. And that's one sort of big, unique proposition of the MBA-MCI, because we have this very close relationship that has been going on for decades now, that has been built up by Professor Dieter and colleagues over the last many, many years. And that's what we have now. We have a very good basis, a very solid basis of collaboration and of sharing and of learning and of innovating and of taking the next step and moving up and improving things and managing things well and building a bright future. And this is part of it. Now, some features. I mean, yes, it's about a 2-year program. It's fully conducted in English because, unfortunately, though I would like to, the Vietnamese is for me very difficult. I even have a hard time to pronounce the names correctly, and I hope you forgive us for that, but we are trying. So yes, it's an international program. It's conducted in English. It's built on a very long track record of, I think, about 25 years now. All your lectures are experienced in the key topics: consulting, international aspects. All of our lectures have other mandates. So we all have consulting businesses on the sidelines. We have our own companies. We have worked in industry. So it's not like a purely academic exercise. It's we do the academic part, but all of our lectures, and that's very important, they all have experience on the practical side, in industry, in management consulting, and also on an international level. And that's also a very strong point of the MBA-MCI. It's a full 90 ECTS MBA. Of course, you also get the diploma from our university. So you have the Swiss, you have a European diploma on top. And again, we are accredited by AACSB. And that's a major mark, because I think only 5% of global business schools have that accreditation. And we have that, and we are very proud about that, because it's a very good sign of the quality and the integrity of the work that we do with our partners like Bahua University. So the 2 years, right, around about the first 3 semesters is your lectures. And of course, you have the program, the schedule, the office will share that with you, will have shared it with you already. So when we have lectures, it's during the week, it's in the evenings from 6 to 9. And then on the weekends, Saturday and Sundays, we basically have a full day till about 5 o'clock in the evening. And then once you have done that part, your courses, then you will basically move into the dissertation, the MBA thesis phase in the 4th semester, when you basically, with your supervisors, get ready for your master thesis, and then of course write the master thesis. And again, like I said earlier, you have the option, the extra option, if you wish, to also do the master thesis in Switzerland. Maybe just the last point here in terms of the format, right? So the first trimesters with your lectures and your courses, It's a very good mix of lecturing, case studies, workshops. You do individual work, but most of it is also group works where you work together with your peers on a given problem, on a given challenge. There's field trips, etc. Guest lectures. I usually invite an entrepreneur from Saigon into the lectures that I do at Bahwa. And so it's a very good sort of a portfolio of different types of teaching. So that's the rough program and the time frame. And of course, the key topics. I mean, MCI stands for Management Consulting International. So it's no surprise that these topics take an important part of the overall program. And you see that here. So we have management consulting, project management, which is one key pillar, which is very relevant for management consultants, but also entrepreneurs and managers in general. And again, many, if not all lectures do consulting and management consulting as well. So we are not only teachers, but we also do business. We have companies, we have partnerships, and we do a lot of management consulting as well. Then the leadership pillar, the second one here, you have had quite a few inputs on leadership over the last, over this short course. Then, of course, also the innovation and entrepreneurship part, which is what I will be doing with you, where we look at a different aspect. I mean, entrepreneurship and innovation, it's not only for startups. It's not only for new companies. Every big or existing company, whether it's small or big, doesn't matter how old the company is. Every company can get benefits out of thinking along innovation and entrepreneurship. It's not only new companies and startups. Of course, that's a key aspect of entrepreneurship. But when we, in the MBA-MCI program, look at innovation and entrepreneurship, we look at it through the lens of companies, because some of you are entrepreneurs, some of our students also have their own businesses. But we look at these aspects from the management perspective, because even existing companies, managers, they can benefit and learn a lot from using innovation and entrepreneurship tools and learning from that and bringing it into their own companies. Take, for instance, if you develop new products, so product development, that is something where you need innovation and where entrepreneurial techniques, approaches can help you a great deal. If you think of your business model, the business model of your company, then if you have a new competitor entering the market, or you want to internationalize and you want your business to open a new subsidiary or branch in a foreign country, then innovation and entrepreneurship can help you, because you can look at the business model and think and analyze and go through the process and then make a decision. So again, entrepreneurship innovation, it's not only for startups. We look at it from the corporate perspective. It's also called corporate entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship. It's the same tools, the same techniques, but the perspective is slightly different, because we're talking about big companies or existing companies that use these approaches. Well, I mean, you probably know better, but our graduates and our current students, they come from basically all the industries and sectors that you have in a country in Vietnam. And you can see some of the examples. And these are Vietnamese companies and also fully international, global, multinational companies. There is quite a few Swiss companies in there, but not limited to that. It's American, European, multinational companies as well as Vietnamese companies. And that is an important indicator for the network and the alumni network and your peers that you meet in your class, because they will be working in many different industries for many different companies, having links to many different countries. And that's a big benefit of taking part. Yes, the lectures do their job, but I would say a comparatively important component is you and your peers in the course who work together. Yes, you have your lectures, but you also have the peers and your friends that you will meet in the program and that you build a great network with and build great relationships with. Also, we have occasionally people from different countries. Of course, because the program takes place physically on campus in District 10, people need to live there, but we have had also participants from different countries from time to time. Now, maybe just a few more examples. I've sort of mentioned the part of the format, the teaching format already, but if you look at the academic aspect, you get experiences from different perspectives. So group works and case studies, field trips. We also have consulting cafes from time to time where we do lectures like the ones that you have seen on inclusive leadership, on problem solving, et cetera, in this course. And that, of course, is open to you. You have the master's thesis, the option to do the thesis in Switzerland, and workshops and all sorts of things. And we are also in the process of building an alumni community, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, extracurricular activities. Whatever happens on campus, I also want to mention the Swiss Innovation Challenge, which is an entrepreneurship or an innovation competition that we do in Switzerland and in some countries in the ASEAN region. And Bach University is also sort of part of that network. And you have the opportunity to take part in the Bach University innovation competition and the Swiss Innovation Competition, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, all the other activities that you have locally on campus, and you as students of the MBA-MCI have access to all these activities that happen within the university and within campus. Maybe just some numbers, and the MBA office has kindly provided those numbers. So this is also based on interviews. And of course, if you think about the students or new students, often they have talked to somebody in the program or somebody who has done the program in the past. And if we ask students, has it sort of increased the MBA program after you have finished it and you have your diploma? How have you benefited, and has it increased the attractiveness of you as a manager? And you see that this is a clear answer, and we would be very sad if that wasn't the case. And you will hear that when you talk to people that, yes, the MBA-MCI program has contributed a lot to that, to making you more qualified, to give you that really big achievement in terms of a management qualification that will help you in your careers. Also, there's a lot of change happening. So when you meet other people, when you meet your peers, when you have extra qualifications, that of course makes you more attractive on the labor market. And that also makes it more likely that people change to better positions. And if your existing company does not offer you the position or does not want to support you, then of course, the world is your oyster. And I mean, Saigon, Vietnam, and the world, there's fantastic companies that are looking for highly qualified people. And you know that we have shortages of highly qualified people, and having an MBA with an international consulting focus, management, leadership focus, entrepreneurship, innovation, that will give you that mark, and that will make you very attractive on the labor market, whether that's Saigon, Vietnam, the ASEAN region, and further afield in the world, and Switzerland included. Right? Also, and that at the bottom left, that's also something. I mean, many people are quickly promoted to other positions. So the 44%, they change company, and we can assume that they all changed for good reason and moved up the ladder. 30% are promoted into higher positions. And I assume that's the 30% that stay in their existing or in their previous company, but are then promoted. And maybe not in the first year, maybe not immediately, but again, a qualification like that is a very good reason to get promoted, because it shows commitment. It shows hard work. The people who do the program, they are committed. They want to move up. They want to make a career, and they are willing to dedicate time and effort into this. It's not for free. The MBA is a very high qualification, and it requires commitment. And if an employer, a company, the government, any organization sees that people have gone through an MBA program, then they can assume that these people are really highly accomplished people, people who want to walk the extra mile, people who want to make a mark in life, people who want to move up, who want to change things, who want to improve things, who want to benefit their companies, their employers, their country. So that's a very good indicator as well. And I assume, and also we also have entrepreneurs, right? So many people, I don't know the exact numbers, but many people have businesses on the sidelines. They may be involved with a family business. I mean, Vietnam is a very entrepreneurial country. Many people have some business, some family business, and so also a good number of our students, they start new businesses, consulting businesses or other. And that's also sort of what we see in the numbers. Now, in terms of, maybe that also interests you, average age is in the 30-year mark, but again, that's the average. So you have basically a distribution. I don't know how young the youngest of our students is or was, and how old the oldest is or was, but we have people from different walks of life. And there is a benefit for them if they wish to do the MBA. And then the age is not the most important indicator. But this is just to show you some, rough average statistics. And we are above 30 with average age. And that's also, of course, related to the fact that we require people to have some work experience, right? So not just a degree, but also to have worked for some years. I think usually 3 years before they do the MBA, because that gives people the practical experience, the outlook into the real business world. And that also makes, of course, the MBA, because the participants, the peers, are bringing in a lot of experience, a big network, and a very important perspective. And you see actually the numbers here. So on average, we are close to 10 years average work experience, but you don't need to have that much, but it shows you that the people on average have quite a bit of sort of work experience before or during or when they do the MBA. Excellent. Now, I'm just, I think, over time now by 4 minutes. So apologies for that. This is just some information on the admission. The MBA-MCI team is very happy to be in touch, as I'm sure you have experienced already, and they will tell you all about that. In terms of the requirements, maybe very quickly, like I said, university degree, bachelor's, at least 3 years of work experience, and of course, we need an English proficiency certificate. That can be provided later. You don't need to do it immediately, but we recommend that you do it as soon as possible. And you need to do it before you enter the master thesis phase. By then, you need to deliver the certificate. But it's just a formality. I wouldn't worry too much about, but these are the requirements. Application fees, you see the information here, and I'm sure the office will help you in case you have any questions. And that's basically that, right? So if you have other questions, get in touch with us, get in touch with the admissions team, and they will be very happy to help you, as I'm sure you know by now. Excellent. So without further ado, I hope to see some of you in reality, actually very soon. I think I'll be in early October. I'll be in Saigon next time. And we will have, of course, teaching, but also maybe some other activities. So it would be it would be a great pleasure and privilege to also welcome some of you to our MBA-MCI community. And here you see a nice picture from last graduation. I think it was in June, the last graduation ceremony we've had with our colleague, Professor Barbara. And of course, the MBA key people like the director of the program, Professor Wing, the director of the School of Business and Business Engineering, Professor Nyung, and some others. Okay, so welcome to the community, and we surely hope to hear from you and to meet you in person very soon. Thank you very much. If there's any questions, of course, we have a Q&A session later, but I think I'd like to hand over to our alumni and our student and the MBA-MCI team. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Hinz, for your introduction of MBA-MCI program. Dear everyone, do you have any questions for Dr. Hinz about the MBA-MCI program? If you have any questions, please raise your hands. Then
there's one in the chat.
I see a question in the chat. What is the unique points of the MBA-MCI compared with other MBA programs?
Sure. So some of them we've talked about already. So it is highly international. You have lectures from Vietnam and from Switzerland and other countries, actually Thailand, Germany, some others. You have not only a Vietnamese diploma, but also a Swiss diploma, which gives you that sort of international component. If you look for jobs in Switzerland or Europe, for instance, if you want to work for a Swiss company or European company, that just is an added advantage. And then it's on campus. It's a very good university, Bachkoa University, and we are trying to contribute with that relationship and that very strong collaboration that has been in place for many, many years. And of course, in terms of the topics, you also have the option to do your master thesis in Switzerland, et cetera, build a sort of more global network. And then, of course, in terms of the topics that we deal with in the program, there is a specific focus on also consulting, management consulting, and the international aspect. And we also do, what I've been talking about, we cover quite a bit on innovation and entrepreneurship, because we believe it's a very important aspect of management and leadership as well. So there's many probably other unique selling propositions, but these are the key points that make the program what it is. And I'm sure that would be confirmed by our alumni and our students. If somebody wants to add, then please, but those are key points. MBA program have any available? I'm not sure if I understand the question. Any activities beside the study in class? So you have, of course, the teaching on campus, but there's also field trips in some of the courses and some of the modules. There's different events, whether they are related to the MBA-MCI or what happens on campus, you have the option to come to Switzerland for your master thesis. And so there's also, you know, quite a few activities that you can take part. Consulting cafes, we have these courses that you can also participate in. We had some events last time I was in Saigon. That was, I think it was last October, where we also had a sort of a lecture session and a panel discussion. And that was basically participated by current students and alumni, and also people who are interested about the program. Okay, consulting management. If I do not have a plan to become consultant and I bring in an achievement, of course. So MBA-MCI is a fully fledged MBA program where we cover all relevant topics for management, key positions. That's done, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be the MBA. And then additionally, we have that particular emphasis and focus on the topics we discussed: consulting, management consulting, international, entrepreneurship, innovation. So it's a fully fledged, generic, typical MBA with all the topics that the big MBAs offer around the world. And you have that special emphasis on the topics that we've discussed. So it will help you nevertheless. And also, excuse me, the consulting, the approaches, they may be useful in also other areas. So if you are a manager, excuse me, just 1 second. That's actually some Vietnamese green tea that I brought last time. So if you work as managers in other companies, then consulting techniques, consulting tools, they can also help you, even though you're not explicitly working as a management consultant. That's why many management consultants later on in their career move into high-level industry positions, because they bring in very useful tools for management positions. So it doesn't close any doors, but I would say it adds, the MBA-MCI adds more specific tools and techniques for these special topics, but that does not hinder you at all to take up a generic or typical management position that has not directly anything to do with management consulting. I hope that answers that question. Feel free to ask any other questions. You know, if you can type in the chat or you speak up, we are here to help you and to answer your questions. Also, maybe just to add on, that's basically relevant for all the questions here. Because you asked about other MBA programs, it's also worth to check if programs are certified with the AACSB accreditation. Again, only round about 5% of all business schools around the world have that approval stamp of the AACSB. Have the AACSB accreditation, which again is a major proof and indication for high quality of the education, because you need to go through a very lengthy, very detailed and intensive process to basically get the accreditation. That has been done in the making for years. So that's also a major mark of this program, because it is AACSB accredited. And I bet that many and most of other MBA programs don't have the accreditation. I don't know the details and all that. The team will know more, but that's also a major differentiator from other programs. Any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Hinz, for your answer, and thank you for the question from the participation. So now, can we move to the second part with the alumni sharing? Dr. Hinz?
Of course, you were asking me. Of course, please. Thank you very much again to all of you, to the MBA-MCI team for organizing such great course events, and to all you participants and people interested in the MBA's MCI program for taking the time and at that time of the day in the evening. So thank you very much, and please, the stage is yours.
Okay, now moving on to the second part of our session today, we have a special guest with us, Ms. Nguyễn Như Quỳnh Hương, Head of Customer Experience presentation is sharing about how the knowledge and tools gained from the management and consulting aspects of the MBA-MCI program can be practically applied and add significant value to her current situation. Let's give a warm virtual welcome to Ms. Nguyễn Như Quỳnh Hương.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Professor. It has been a long time to hear from you, so it's okay if you pass like 15 minutes or 30 minutes is okay for me. And good evening to MCI program. So it's an honor for me to speak and sharing my knowledge and experience for everyone in here. So coming back to the question and our discussion tonight for how to deal with the crisis in management view and consultant view. And when I read a few of the comment from you and question from you about the unique point from the MCI and for the management point, if we not focus on the consultant and we still applicable for the to study MCI program. So from my experience, I can say yes, it's a big plus for me when I'm working under the management view, because like you can imagine like how KPMG, how the BWC, how the Big Four can solve the problem, right? So it's all bring up into the management view under the consulting point. So if we go through on the point and all the competency of the management pillar, and we can see that it's all add value for us to move on with how we handle the situation, to making the decision making under the management view without interest of conflict between the department. So it's very, I think it's very beneficial for everyone to study the MCI program. So coming back to the crisis management, I think I can take back the COVID and pandemic situation just last 2 years. So during that time, everyone, and especially my team, I managed like about 30 people. So it's include the associate and senior and even more senior manager. So they all very panic with the pandemic situation and COVID situation. And at that time, everything just kind of like before we moving up with the hybrid working way of working at as right now, like work from home, work with the remote section, work by Zoom, everything. So coming back to the pandemic, nothing had been set up. So when I study in the MCI, something bring me up with that, something kind of like management skill, how to understand my people, how to empathize for my employee under the pandemic situation, and with the projection ongoing together with the pandemic, how can I deal with the situation? Like how I can engage my team, how can I motivate my team training my team and doing the projection along the way with dealing with the pandemic situation. So when we go through on the point under the leadership and some kinds of like management within the MCI program, we can see that, and we can kind of like arrange what type of employee that we need to train and what kinds of communication that we need to discuss with them, to engage them, to motivate them during the pandemic, because people was so scary. And when we don't have any vaccine at the moment, so people worry about their family. So the working and the performance drop down. So I need to pick it up. So with all the understanding I brought from the MCI program, it helped me a lot for solving the problem, the project management and the management skill. So one of the things that I found from the MCI program helped me a lot to think out of the box and to solve all of my problems is the project management and problem solving tools. So I think everyone in here have more than 3 years of management experience. So we all know that we face the problem every day, working day, right? So with the problem solving tools and how we can train, how we can engage the people, how we can discuss with our team using some of the problem solving, example like 5 whys, why, and why, until we find out the problem and we find out the answer to the problem, into the root cause of the problem. So the way we analyze the problem, the way we understand the problem from the root cause, really helping me to solve all the problem and manage the project well from very beginning until the end and making the right decision. So the other thing I think very important for the manager and management level is stakeholder analysis and the risk detection within our corporate and within our projection. Like when we do the projection, we need to identify what is the risk, and we need to identify what the stakeholder map for everyone, right? When we have the management level, we already know that what is the stakeholder that we need to be involved, and we need to work very closely, and what is the stakeholder that we need to keep the relationship, but we don't need to work closely with, so we can kind of like optimize the time and within the deadline we have with the very efficiency performance that we can get from the project management. So at that time, it's very, I think it's very difficult for me to run in parallel for 3 projects at the same time, because at that time, my company moving up with another system, and I need to work with the third party. And in my company, the third party is from Australia, and we need to work with them with the very strictly timeline for the Australian company, and then with the Vietnamese company partner as well. So we need to manage the time differently, and we need to manage the project differently from different style of the company and different style of people as well. So with all the knowledge I got from the MCI and MBA program for the management and the consultant, I can see it very clearly, and even I can advise back to my higher managers, which is the director, from the consultant view, because from the consultant view, I can have like a neutral mind that not have any conflict of interest from any department, but to advise back to my director what should be better, what should be best for the team, and what should be best for the partner and our partner relationship. So I think the MBA and MCI program is very helpful for everyone who want to move up, like the professor just discussed with you later on previously, that if you want to move up, you should move up with your knowledge and your experience. So everyone here have the years of experience, like 3 years, 5 years, even 10 years, and some with the professional level already, some is older. So I think the MPA, especially MCI program, can structure our mindset. Like we already know what is that, and should be some kinds of like, we know how to solve the problem, but we don't know where this is coming from, right? And what is the tool, what is the definition, and why is this happen, and why we need to make that decision, and what we should choose. So with the MCI program, we can structure our mind we make like the mind map and brainstorming structurally from the top to the bottom, how to apply into our work and how to think of it correctly. Like we will not be, because we have the ethical, right? So we cannot reach our ethical standard. And in some level of the management, in some level of the consultancy, we cannot reach the ethical. So we already what the standard, in international standard, what the ethical from the management level. So through that program, it's bring you all the knowledge and is equip you all the knowledge that you need to understand, you need to structure, right? To do the work is better. And even you can move up into like director level, for example, in later on, if we have enough experience and with that knowledge. And I think in Vietnam, if you ask me, it's not because the MPI program pay me something, but actually, if I looking back with the other MPI and my friend from the other MPI program, I think our class and our MCI program do a lot better. Especially kinds of like all our professional have actually the experience from life experience, something like COO, the owner, the director from the institute, and the other professional. It's not just like theory, but we are applied science and we are practical. The other MPI, I think, is more theory, and because I has been testing, it's not testing, but I try with some other MBA program as well, kind of like I joining in a few class and to see before I'm choosing what is the best for me. So firstly, I will choosing kind of like the pillar of the program, what I want, what do I want, what will I achieve after the program after 2 years, because the MCI and MPA, if you study and you're still working, it's really a struggle for you, right? So it's 2 years, it's very long time. And you need to spend time for your family, your working, yourselves, and even your loved one, right? So you need to choose the right one. So I set up my standard first. What do I want? And what will I get at the end? So after the MCI, through the pillar, I see all I want is in there. And firstly, the price is very affordable. I think so, compared to the other one. And the quality of the program, the quality of the professional is very high, I think. And from the intake, like you need to have 3 years experience. So when you go into the class, everyone seems to be the same at your level. So manager to manager, head to head, and director to director. Even you have a lot of owner into your class. So when you sharing, you networking, you talking to each other, you discuss at the same level or even the higher level. So and the professional helping you. So when you finish the course, you will have the better mind and better mindset as well. According to my experience, when I attend into the MCI Intake 10, I was feeling very lucky that I can attend into that class because everyone around me very talented and very good people. They coming from very good background. They even like director from the very big corporation, and even they are the owner of the 2 company at their homes. They create a company, they own 2 company and running for more than 10 years, and they still have the passion to coming back and study the MCI program. Even they already have 1 master. So this is the second master they study. And I have a chance to meet with all the professionals coming from Switzerland, and I have a chance to meet with other Asian tour from the other country to join in to sharing experience, and we're working together. So I hope that with my sharing, you can get some more insight and some more hints. Why should you choose the MCI program, and what should the MCI program will bring up to you? And if you don't think that you will be a consultant in the future, that's fine. Because everything you study, you will gain all the benefit from that, from some point like how we apply the program, how we apply the theory into the working situation. That's why we call this applied science. And this is the course that gives you all the information you need to apply for your job. Because when I study, I see that I can apply straight away. When I study, I can apply straight away. So I don't need to wait for like, I'm completed 2 years and then I can apply. So what I can apply, I can see, this is happened within my working, I can use this point, I can use that point, I can use this tool, I can use this way, and I can try this management style with my team and to see how it's affect. And I see it's very efficiency and it's enhanced my performance and very great with my team. So I think the MCI program is very great for everyone to choose. So I think my sharing up to now is condensed, and I hope I can receive some of the questions from you. And thank you for everyone to listening to my sharing. And I hope my sharing is helping you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hương, for your sharing. Now, everyone, do you have any questions for Ms. Hương? Please raise your hand, or you can test the message on the chat box, and we can read the questions. Okay, could you share some advice how you arrange your time to work and learn at MBA-MCI?
Thank you for your question. Firstly, I can say if you choose MBA to enhance your knowledge and to move up in your career ladder, I think is you should to set up the mindset that you need to study hard because this is the master class, right? So I can share some of my experience and I hope that it's not scary you. But firstly, I was lucky that my company is next to the school, the backward school. It takes me like 5 to 10 minutes to ride there. I using the motorbike. So after my working, I go straight to the school to study from 6:30 at that time, I remember, until 9, sometimes 9:30. So I finished the class. So during the class, I will turn on everything. I just focus on the class and I try to remember everything, mind map everything within the class. So I make sure that 80% of the knowledge I can understand well within the class. So when I'm coming back to my home, I will set up again to see through the note again, just see through the note. Don't remember anything, just like I'm not really studying. I just go through the note again and then I close the book. And I have some other individual activity. So the next morning, I will check firstly in the morning what should be done with my work first, and secondly, what is the deadline for the MBA program and the lecturer or the tutor. So I think I can give you some suggestion that firstly you can see the first page or to the 5th page of the book will give you that how many percentage of the schedule or of the module, and this is the open book or the closed book, and what should be provided, and kind of like all the shortened information before the module start. So you can set up your time and divide your time compared to your work as well, because normally at that time when I studying, my work is very busy. So I need to arrange the time for me to study is very strictly. Sometimes I will spend time after the class because it's close to the examination. So I will stay up like up to like 3, 5 a.m. in the morning to study. And then I go to work because the work start, sometimes I'm very flexible with the working hour, but sometimes because I work with the at international company as well, like Australia, and the time zone is very different, and sometimes with the Brazil as well, so time zone is different. So that's why I arrange my time is very flexible. And some of the time that I'm off, I'm just going out with my friend, and I just completely forgot. But you need to take note and you make sure that you understand well within the class, and then everything will be easy for you because you make the note within the lecture and make sure that you keep all the note with you and you read the note again. Kind of like my style is like I will write it down, handwriting, because one time I listening, I remember, I understand. The second time I writing down. The third time I'm reading, and last time when I going back for the final examination, everything already in my mind. I just need to remind. So it take me shortened time to study than the other. So sometimes, because the thing that I like into the master class, that I don't need to study by heart. That is great. And because if you have to study by heart, it takes you a lot of time, right? So you just need to remember and you know how to apply. If you don't know, ask the lecturer, ask the professional straight away, and make sure you understand well. So with even you have the critical time, you're doing a lot of projection, you still have your friend to have you, right? Kind of like you need to team up with your friend, make like a group activity for your for yourself. At that time when I'm studying in Tech 10, we do have a class and a group by the yellow chat, like 5 to 10 people that we sometimes we gather to study in the coffee before the examination, or for some it's very difficult module that we need to discuss more because it's need application for example, something for like international management, international leadership. So actually we need someone is very best at that, right? Example like from HR, example like people of mindset. So from their angle and from their point of view, we will more easier to understand what is really the international, and from the people side, we will see more clearly from the people. So team up with your friend. Don't just go to the coffee and take coffee and coffee talk. So this is wasting the time. So this is what I was doing when I can arrange my time and work and learn MBA. So I'm very happy and very lucky that my family is supporting me during the time that I study, because this is really a hard time for me, 2 years, honestly.
Okay, thank you, Miss Hương. So everyone, do you have more questions for the alumni, Miss Hương? Or if you have some question for Dr. Andre Hinz, please let me know. Dr. Hinz, about arrangement time for work and learn, do you have some sharing besides Miss Hương share?
Yes, I mean, first of all, Ms. Hung, thank you so much for for sharing your first-hand experience and for giving such great impressions of what you've gone through. I would agree to all of that. I mean, from the lecture's perspective, it's all, I was a student myself, right? So, and usually people wait sometimes a bit long before they start and before they get active. So that makes it, of course, more difficult when the deadlines are approaching fast and you need to do this and that, and you have your job and you have the family, partnership, hobbies, whatever you do, then it gets more difficult to manage, right? So to avoid that, it's usually good to, start on time, and then it's not that a big effort, right? Because you do a bit and you start on time and you don't get stressed with the deadlines so much. Maybe Ms. Hong can confirm that. So starting earlier and not too late is maybe one of the things I would add from the lecturer's perspective. And again, I have been a student myself, so I know the issue, and I've often also waited a bit longer than I should have before I started. But yeah, getting started early is maybe good. And maybe one other point in general. Of course, like we said, Ms. Hong and I have said it before as well, it is a commitment. It's effort, it's time and effort, but it can be done with good time management. It can be easily done with, full-time jobs and your normal commitments in your life. And as far as I don't know the exact numbers with MBA-MCI with all the participants, but I assume and I know that most students have full-time jobs and they do this on top. And we also, I know the numbers in Switzerland here with our Swiss MBAs, the far majority has 100% work contract. Some have 80 and some have less, but most people have a full-time job, plus hobbies, plus family, plus all the other things, and they manage fine. But it is a bit of a time and work commitment, yes.
Okay, thank you. So everyone, do you have any questions so far for the speakers today? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our final session for the shaping the futures and driving results shortcut. We hope that the information shared by Dr. Andrew Hinz and Ms. Nguyễn Như Quỳnh Hương have enriched your understanding of the MBA-MCI program and its practical applications to the real-world business. On behalf of the MBA-MCI program, we would like to express our gratitude to Dr. Andrea Hinz and Ms. Nguyễn Như Quỳnh Hương, and also all of you for your enthusiastic participation throughout this short course. We wish you continued success in your profession and encourage you to stay connected with us for more learning opportunities in the future. Dear everyone, before ending the class today, we would like to
Sorry, Tuyền, we have one more question from the participant.
Okay, one more question. Hi, chị Hương. I heard that managers or leaders are about to tackle with problem and apply problem-solving skills at the right time for the right person. So how can we know that we have reached the root cause to give solution, or is it actually based on experience?
Hi, Tu, thank you for your question. I think this is the mix, like experience and the tool as well. Like, for example, when you see the problem, right? When we identify the problem, so of course we already know what the situation, what the background that we are at that moment, and if we are think that is the problem, so we already know what is the question, what is the purpose for that. For example, you during the projection, during the thing that you need to do to improve your performance within the projection, for example. So you already know the purpose of the projection. We already know what we should do through the pilot, through the pilot and through the timeline. So when we tackle, when we point out this is the problem happen, so firstly based on the purpose of the projection, secondly based on what the direction from the higher position, example like from your direct line manager. And when you tackle with the problem, you will see that if we have to face with the problem. So what is actually the root cause of the problem and how we solve it? We will have the bigger view to see the problem when we apply some of the problem solving skill. So that's why I can say this is the mix based on your experience and how we can apply the tool into that. It's not the right at the right time and the right person, because when we see the problem it's already happened. So when we tackle it, this is make the problem solving and we resolve the problem. So I don't think this is the right time, but at the time we see the problem, we solve it at the weakest, right? And the right persons, actually the team leader or the manager. But normally the team leader or the manager normally don't work with the associate. So the right one, we can research and get some more insight better is the associate and the team member that working with you. Because everyone working with the daily task can give you more information rather than the management view. So to solve the problem properly, we can make some of the Q&A for the team and collect some more research, some more information from the team about the problem. And then we compare with the purpose from the projection, the direction from the manager, higher manager or the director for that projection. And then we can use some of the problem solving skill into that to define the cause of the problem and then to solve it. So it's better for you. It's not actually purely the experience, but we can apply the problem solving and the tools into that to solve the problem properly. I hope that my answers answers your question.
Okay, thank you the question and Ms. Hương answer. Is there anyone to have the question so far? I see that there's some alumni here. Okay, Jean. Jean is the student from Intech 12, and she will have the defense in September. Now, Jean.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Ms. Twin, because I think it will be helpful if I share something because I'm currently a student and I also attended the short course during this week and I saw how young the participants are, and I think they're also planning to take the MBA-MCI, and I just want to share something that will help them make their decision. So first, if the program is helpful for your career, I think I'm one of the success story because I shifted my career in the middle of the program, not knowing that I will actually do it because the content of the program is very practical and the lecturers also update it on what's happening in the industry or in the general business environment. That's why I shifted to a position that is totally new, different industry, different position. And the program totally helped me to get the qualification I need for that position. But I would like to go back on the arranging your time and learning while you're studying full time. The key is to really setting up early, like what Professor Andrea said. You have to talk to your work that, okay, I'm studying now. I have this schedule to attend to because I used to live 2 hours away from the university. I used to be in Binjung, but I can proudly say that I never missed a class because I arranged that this is my priority. I invested in an MBA class, so I need to attend every class that I have. Because when you attend the class, you just have to maximize the 2-3 hours you learn inside the class so that you don't have to spend extra time learning again the content. And also what helped me a lot is that in terms of the requirements, you don't use it won't be new because we have new experiences. What the class will do is help you reflect on your experiences, on what you're currently going through at work, and use those situations at work in class, and also apply the lectures in class to solve the problems you experience at work. And also one thing I want to emphasize, even though the program requires you to have a work experience, you don't have to be a very high level in a high level position to participate in the class because I saw how young potential applicants are. Even I myself, I have almost 10 years of experience, but I won't call myself a high level manager. But then you have to realize and reflect that leadership, it doesn't always come with the title. And don't be scared if you don't have that kind of position, because in reality, a lot of companies now are flat organization. You may not be able to have the title, but you have the leadership experience, and that is okay. Don't be scared. I think that's all I have to share. I hope it helps.
Okay, thank you, Jean, for sharing.
Jean, let me just add to that. Thank you very much for speaking up. You have said that you had 2 hours commute to the class, and I can actually say that you, Jean, were always the first in the classroom, arriving like half an hour early and engaging us all in conversation. So I just wanted to add to that. Thank you very much. And of course, you are also very proud of our students and soon alumni. And
Yes,
you're also very international. I think you're originally from the Philippines, so you're also a very good example for people coming to Saigon for work and the MBA, etc. So thank you very much.
Yes, also, if I may add, last 2 points, like if I'm a foreigner was able to get a better opportunity in Vietnam, what more Vietnamese who will study MBA program? And also, yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so everyone, do you have any more questions before we end the class today? Jean, so you are so hardworking, yeah. Okay, now everyone, before we end the class today, we will take pictures together. So please turn on the camera and we will have the picture together.
Okay, now we will take the photos. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, one more photos. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a nice evening and we will see you next shortcut. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye,
Goodbye,
everyone.
Dr. Haynes.